The first one we're reviewing is the Cadet Early Leadership Bill.
The first part is basically explaining that at the start of each year in Term 4, we're going to offer Year 7 students to join a newly changed Bravo company instead of having to wait till Year 8 to begin their cadet journey. And so we're also open to introducing open to making a charter company as well for this purpose, and then introducing 2 later companies, which is part of the second part of the proposal, which will create a golf company, which replaces the role of the existing Bravo company. It has the exact same structure as a regular recruit company, and we're also open to creating a hotel company, depending on how many numbers we get for this. The third part is that upon the switch of Bravo company to this new role as a company for the new Year 7 recruits, we're going to change the way in which it's run from that of a normal recruit company to where all members of rank must be from Bravo company in prior years, so there are not any issues in terms of age, and people from different years who don't know each other and probably find it harder to work together. We'll also change it to more like an alpha company style environment, wherein we are less focused on just getting the basics. We're more focused on making sure they understand the leadership, they understand the field craft, and so they're able to go into senior roles later on in cadets. Fourth part being that if recruits complete their year in Bravo company and they choose not to continue with cadet, that's fine. They don't have to complete the regular year in recruits in Year 8. However, they are allowed to do this, although we would encourage them more to become a cadet in Alpha company in their second year, rather than going back to a normal recruit company. Then we also see that we would encourage most of the people in Bravo company to pursue rank. So we would hold a separate junior leadership course for those who are in Bravo company. However, we obviously cannot give that many positions of rank, as the only positions that we will be able to give them are those in existing Bravo company. So obviously we'll only have enough room for the corporals in Bravo company. However, even then, for those that fulfill the minimum requirements of rank, we would simply allow them to pass the course, and when they complete the normal junior leadership course the year after, when they're going into Year 9, the standards for them is lower as they've already passed the course. However, this can be reassessed if there is significant issues in terms of behaviour and whatnot, and this can be decided by staff. The last part is that both Alpha, Bravo, and possibly Charlie company, depending on numbers, will partake in more field exercises. So rather than just Friday training at Knox every week like normal recruit company, and even for Alpha company, kind of limited exercises, we would see that we want them to be as much as they can, going out on Fridays, but also the introduction of longer activities during the term, so up to 3 days where they can go out, practice field craft, that kind of thing, and of course it's just on top of the existing annual field exercise.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Two things. Are we changing the role of Alpha company in any way? We're seeing that? No? And then with the dates, do we want to change the dates change the start of cadets from the beginning of Term 4 to the beginning of Term 1 so it's in line with the school year?
No, I think we'll leave it as it is, so that way the officers, the CEOs in Year 12 still have the opportunity to focus on their seat in Term 4 and not make them stay back when they've already left school.
Okay. The Performing Arts Bill?
This bill relates to the current Knox Grammar Performing Arts Scheme of 2010 and has looked down upon the engagement of students in performing arts in Knox. This bill would amend the 2010 bill and allow for more performances at Thursday and Friday assemblies, also at lunchtime. We would also like a larger budget for the department, and students and performers can have equal say on what performances they want to perform for the public. Ultimately, this bill aims to increase engagement between students and the world of performing arts. So the first subsection is Knox will provide easy access to students to watch performances in time school hours. Second one, students will be able to be involved in drama for Year 7. Third one, those involved in performing arts will be taken to a variety of shows that will help instigate the minds of young Knoxmen. The fourth, students will have a say on what performances they would like to see / perform. The last one is all profits from Knox held performances will go back into the performing arts department to ensure steady growth of funding.
Okay. Does anyone have any recommendations? No? Yeah, that's fine. Are there certain bands that are going to perform more than others?
Well, that just depends on the numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so the performances on Thursday and Friday is really based on which band wants to perform on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and like what the students want to see.
So this is a bill to act to re-amend the Knox Grammar School mobile phone policy, which was last amended in Term 2 2018, and to introduce student incentives into the classroom. So this Privileges and Incentives Amendment Bill 2019 will reform the academic environment for Knox for all students by allowing the use of mobile phones during school hours through an amendment of the current school mobile phone policy. In addition, this bill will introduce class incentives which aim to foster a supportive learning environment for more vigilant efforts and participation in classwork and homework across all students. So, on to my subsections. The first one is that Knox Grammar School will re-amend its most recent mobile phone policy and authorize the use of mobile devices by students during school hours, with the exception of morning tea and lunch breaks. And in this context, mobile device refers to smartphones along with portable computing devices, including iPads, tablets, and MP3 players, which are approved by the school. It doesn't refer to school-issued MacBook Airs, which fall under the separate Knox Grammar School computer policy. So this will now mean that mobile devices will no longer be limited to storage and lockers, but will be free to accompany students to and from class. However, we will still ban them during recess and lunch breaks to ensure that they do not act as barriers from social interactions between students. The next subsection of this policy is that these mobile devices will be used to meet a comprehensive array of classroom requirements. And these may include activities such as audio recordings, pictures, videos, recording results, taking measurements, Kahoots, data transfer, or the use of... This may include audio recordings, pictures, videos, recording results, taking measurements, Kahoots, data transfer, or the use of mobile apps deemed necessary for classwork. When implemented in conjunction with existing technology in the form of MacBook Airs, this bill would support a productive learning environment. The third subsection of this bill, is to ensure that these students will not misuse their privileges on mobile phones. This will mean that all mobile devices will be used appropriately, regardless of when, where, and through which means they are used. So thus, the school reserves its right to confiscate devices or otherwise punish students appropriately for a range of policy breaches, included but not limited to gaming in class, cyberbullying, use of recess and lunch, use of during recess and lunch, inappropriate sharing of media or material, cheating during tests, and calling/texting during class periods. The fourth subsection of this bill is that Knox Grammar School will employ a new system of classroom incentives aimed to increase student participation in both classroom and home activities, and these will be introduced to increase engagement, for example, during classroom discussions, and also completion of homework, which otherwise some students opt not to do. The fifth subsection of this bill is to diversify the selection of potential incentives utilized to engage students. And so this will be tailored by the teachers to meet the individual needs or class needs, and also vary depending on the year level of the students. So, for example, the incentives deployed by a teacher for, let's say, Year 7 class will be much different to, let's say, Year 12 class going to into their HSC trials. And the sixth subsection of this bill is a close cooperation with other ministers of the Knox Students' Union that will greatly allow for additional flexibility in the types of incentives these students are offered. So, for example, you could have something like, let's say, organic canteen voucher, which can be, for example, given and awarded by teachers to students, and this will act as, let's say, an internal school incentive. So, for example, if you participated in class for a particular day, then, for example, you can get a free lunch for that day. And so that summarizes my bill.
So this is the Co-Curricular Activity Amendment Bill. So this bill attempts to amend the current school laws relating to the participation in co-curricular activities around school. This bill would allow for the amendment of the current Co-Curricular Activity Bill 2010 and allow for participation in co-curricular activities during school hours. So by giving students the opportunity to complete a co-curricular activity during school hours, they will have time to do the stuff they want if they don't want to do any more outside of school, while still completing at least one co-curricular activity. By offering more co-curricular activities, the students will be given a wider variety of activities to do, giving them more of a choice to do an activity they want to do instead of being forced into something they don't want. And by publicising the activities around the school, the students will feel more motivated to complete as many activities as they can, as they'll be recognised at assemblies and will become more popular around the school. By getting bigger crowds to the events, the school spirit will be lifted and the culture behind co-curricular activities will become exciting and interesting to be a part of. Students competing in front of a big crowd will feel very good as they're being supported by their peers. And by making cadets optional from the start of Year 7, we'll give cadet lovers more time in the unit to get higher rank and develop more as a leader. That's my bill.
Okay, what periods would we replace with co-curricular activities?
So Friday morning assembly, given that we already have Thursday assembly, that's a good slot to put it in.
Okay. And maybe like a mentor session?
And a mentor session, yeah.
Okay. Alright, that's good. James, are you ready? Go.
So this is the Knox introduction of the esports bill. This bill will attempt to amend the current Sports Act within Knox through the introduction of Knox esports with the exclusion of anime. So subsections. Knox esports will provide access to all esports games as well as gaming equipment such as computers, mice, keyboards to allow for greater performance for future esports competitors. The reformation of the original Sports Act that makes students have compulsory sports sessions each weekend will be changed to having esports sessions each weekend. Competitions will be held at the end of each term, allowing for students within their own gaming field to perform at high standards. All competitors that compete will be rewarded depending on their overall position within team-based and single-player games. Knox Esports Bill ensures that students will have a wider insight into the new world of esports and gaming by introducing a period for esports on a Thursday, period 7, similar to the original Sports Act where period 7 was dedicated towards physical activity. The last subsection denies all games that involve anime, and anyone who does participate within anime games will be prosecuted.
So does that mean that all esports participants will have esports training on every Thursday afternoon?
Yes.
Then what about the people, so what about the people that don't do esports? What are they doing on Thursday afternoon?
You have a choice between, we're adding extra sports.
So is it basically similarly to how it is now, where
Yeah.
would you want to change that from Thursday afternoon to whatever day that year group has been allocated period 7 sport? Okay.
Just one quick thing. Would you perhaps want to institute something to make sure that those who do participate in esports are still getting physical education?
Just say.
So maybe you could institute something within that bill where, for instance, even if they do esports, there is maybe
They
Yes,
still have
they
to
have to do
participate
choice.
in their PDHP subject.
Yeah.
What about year 11?
Year 11 is the same thing.
Oh no, there's no PDHP in year 11.
in the 11. So,
Yeah,
would
so you get a
perhaps
choice
say
between-
that- but would you perhaps say for those who do esports, you have maybe one training a week instead of after school training that people normally have, and then perhaps period 7, there is like a say they can choose a sport just to do for
Yeah.
period 7, and then probably maybe don't compete that competitively. So for instance,
Yeah.
like intentionally compete against other schools, they would maybe not do this and instead just do the training.
Yeah, like they can join the social group if that's good. Wait, is anyone not gone? It's like top.
TN and James.
Okay, so my bill is called the Canteen Health Foods Amendment Bill. So the Canteen Health Foods Amendment Bill of 2019 will amend the current state of canteen foods at Knox Grammar School. A new canteen will be built serving only organic healthy foods. This bill will come into effect by term 2 of 2020 if passed. Subsections, firstly, the construction of an organic canteen. Secondly, all prices will not exceed $3. 3, all profits will be donated to a charity of the student's choice. 4th, discounts will be given to students who achieve an APA of 1.1 or less. And 5th, staff will consist of volunteers. It will be in the interest of the school to introduce the Canteen Health Foods Amendment Bill of 2019 by virtue of the critical importance of nutrition in adolescents. This bill will be oriented towards the students' interests by introducing a maximum pricing point of $3, thus mitigating economic burden on students. Moreover, this bill will work in conjunction with a charity of the student's choice, with all profits of the canteen donated. Furthermore, discounts will be given to students who achieve an APA of 1.1 or less. Therefore, this bill incentivizes students in the classroom. And, yeah.
I don't really have anything to say, but organic food is normally pretty expensive, so just make sure that it doesn't really...
Profits.
Just one thing as well, would it be worth perhaps not, especially with the food being so cheap, not donating it to charity, because otherwise it would be quite a hole in the school's funds. Also because that would probably allow the school to better understand where they're doing good and bad in terms of how they're selling their items.
Well, we can like see all the profits and see if like they're doing bad or not. And if price is a problem, then we can ask the agriculture students to grow their own food or something. Then we can use that.
Okay. So you would be willing to introduce like a program where maybe, you know, Knox students, not even just agriculture, everyone has to contribute. Sure.
Yes. Cool.
We've got a minute.
Go to this guy. Just wait for me to sit down on the
Alright, so 3 points I'm proposing today for as Transport Minister is to firstly make the buses more wide in the just inside to allow more students intake in the buses and to allow more free fall ride. The next point I want to include is that times I want to make the buses from 3:30 to 3:45 to allow students to get a longer period of time to. I'd also like the buses to have more effective air cons to make it more comfortable ride and shorter ride. Thank you.